Imagine walking into a room filled with the unmistakable aroma of sizzling beef patties, freshly toasted buns, melting cheese, and that enticing smell of fast food that seems to tug at your soul. Now imagine doing that completely blindfolded, with no visual clues to help you judge what you're about to eat. That's exactly what I decided to do. Rank all the major fast food burgers purely based on taste and texture, free from branding, advertising, and preconceived opinions. This wasn't just a fun experiment. It was a journey into discovering what really makes a burger stand out when the logos disappear and only your senses guide you. I gathered a variety of burgers from some of the biggest names: McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Five Guys, In-N-Out, Shake Shack, Sonic, Jack in the Box, Whataburger, Carl's Jr., and even local favorites like Culver's. Each burger was ordered as close to standard as possible. No extra toppings, no customization, just the classic cheeseburger or signature burger each chain is known for. I enlisted a friend to handle the unwrapping and feeding part, so I could keep my hands clean and maintain the surprise. As I sat in a comfortable chair, blindfold securely tied, I felt both excitement and nervousness. I didn't realize how much I depended on sight to enjoy food, to admire the glossy bun, the vibrant green lettuce, or the perfect cheese melt. Now all I had was smell, touch, and taste. The first burger came in, warm and slightly greasy against my lips. The bun was soft, almost pillowy, and the patty was thin but juicy. The sauce tasted tangy with a hint of sweetness. I took a few thoughtful chews, trying to decipher what made it familiar. Without the wrapper, I couldn't be sure, but the sauce reminded me of that classic secret sauce many chains claim to have. I found it surprisingly enjoyable, though not overwhelmingly flavorful. Next came a burger that felt heftier in my hands, with a thicker patty and a slightly firmer bun. The meat had a smoky flavor, almost char-grilled, and the vegetables tasted crisp and fresh. There was a distinct difference between this one and the first. It felt more real somehow, less like fast food and more like a backyard barbecue burger. The cheese was sharp and creamy, blending well with the meatiness. I made a mental note that this one might rank higher on my list later. As I went through more burgers, the differences in bun texture, meat seasoning, and sauce started becoming clear. Some buns were too dry, crumbling as I bit into them, while others were so loaded with butter they felt like eating a dessert pastry. The patties ranged from ultra-thin, slightly soggy discs to thick, juicy slabs bursting with flavor. It was fascinating to notice how some burgers relied heavily on sauces to mask bland meat, while others showcased the patty as the star of the show. A few burgers stood out immediately for their balance. One had a perfect ratio of bun to meat, with crisp lettuce and juicy tomato slices that didn't overpower the bite but complemented it. The cheese melted just enough to create a creamy texture without becoming a gooey mess. I found myself savoring this one slowly, appreciating the layers of flavors. I thought this might be from a chain known for fresh ingredients and attention to detail, perhaps In-N-Out or Shake Shack. On the other hand, there were a few disappointments. One burger felt and tasted like cardboard. The patty was dry and overcooked, the lettuce limp, and the sauce almost non-existent. I remember thinking that if I had to guess, it might be one of those value menu burgers from a chain known more for price than quality. Despite my hunger, I struggled to finish it, and it quickly dropped to the bottom of my mental list. One of the most surprising moments came with a burger that had a buttery, slightly sweet bun that contrasted beautifully with a salty, savory patty. The sauce was minimal, allowing the natural beef flavor to shine. It felt luxurious compared to the others, and even though I couldn't see it, I could tell there was care in its construction. The toppings were placed evenly, and each bite delivered a consistent experience. Throughout the tasting, I also noticed temperature played a huge role. Some burgers had obviously cooled down too much during transport, which changed the texture of the bun and hardened the cheese. Others were still warm and inviting, with juices dripping down my chin. Eating burgers blindfolded taught me that temperature and timing are as important as flavor, an often overlooked factor when we judge fast food too quickly. After finishing all the burgers, I took a few minutes to reflect, still blindfolded. I try to rank them purely on my sensory impressions. Which ones left a strong, positive aftertaste? Which ones felt like I wanted to reach for a second bite immediately? Which ones made me want to wash my mouth out? My ranking surprised me. Some big names didn't perform as well as I had expected, while a few underdogs rose to the top purely because of taste. When I finally removed the blindfold, the reveal was shocking. The first burger I tasted, the one with the tangy sauce, turned out to be McDonald's classic cheeseburger. It made sense in hindsight, with that familiar ketchup-mustard combo and thin patty. The heavier, smoky burger that I love turned out to be from Five Guys. Its thicker patty and simple approach had won me over. The luxurious, buttery bun burger was from Shake Shack, which didn't surprise me given its reputation for premium ingredients and craftsmanship. What shocked me the most was that some burgers I had always considered top-tier visually fell short in this blind test. For example, a burger I had ranked quite low turned out to be from a chain known for giant burgers and flashy advertising. But when stripped of its looks and marketing, it felt dry and bland. Meanwhile, a smaller chain's burger performed exceptionally well purely because of its well-seasoned patty and fresh toppings. This experiment also made me reconsider how much we eat with our eyes first. We are drawn to the marketing photos, the beautifully styled sandwiches, the gleaming buns under the bright lights. In reality, when you take that away and focus on pure taste, your preferences might change entirely. I found myself questioning how many other food choices I had made based more on branding and less on flavor. I also noticed how texture became even more important in the absence of sight. A soggy or overly greasy bun instantly turned me off, while a slight crispness or a fresh, juicy crunch from a pickle elevated a burger experience. The meltiness of the cheese, the chew of the meat, and the softness of the bun all combined into a kind of symphony that I appreciated in a new way. Beyond just taste, this experiment was almost meditative. It forced me to slow down and savor each bite. Usually when eating fast food, I rush through it, distracted by my phone or the TV. But here, blindfolded, each bite was an experience, each flavor a small mystery to solve. It was like rediscovering burgers for the first time, like being a kid again, marveling at each taste and texture. It also made me realize that nostalgia plays a big role in our food preferences. When I learned that the first burger was from McDonald's, it made sense why I found it so familiar and comforting. Even if it wasn't the highest ranked in flavor, it triggered childhood memories of Happy Meals and playground trips. Similarly, the slightly smoky burger from Burger King brought back memories of road trips and quick pit stops. Even though it didn't score the highest, it had an emotional connection that taste alone couldn't explain. Ultimately, I finalized my top rankings. Five Guys came out on top for its juicy, well-seasoned patty and simple toppings that didn't overwhelm the meat. Shake Shack followed closely with its buttery bun and premium cheese, making each bite feel decadent. In-N-Out took a strong third place for its fresh produce and balanced proportions. Surprisingly, the lower end included some chains I had assumed would be at least mid-tier, proving that hype doesn't always match reality. The biggest lesson was that food is far more complex than just taste. It's a combination of smell, touch, temperature, texture, memory, and even culture. When you strip away visual presentation and marketing, you get closer to the core experience. You might find new favorites or realize your old favorites aren't as good as you thought. After finishing the tasting, I felt a mix of satisfaction and mild regret. Regret for the extra calories, but satisfaction in knowing I had genuinely discovered what I loved most without outside influence. I shared my results with friends and family, and many were shocked. Some argued passionately about their favorite burgers, insisting I must have made a mistake. Others were intrigued and even inspired to try their own blindfolded burger rankings. A few days later, I noticed that my cravings had shifted. Instead of going straight for the flashiest new burger or the one with the craziest marketing campaign, I found myself wanting simpler, better balanced burgers. I became more aware of textures and subtleties, enjoying each bite with more intention. Even at home, I started experimenting with different buns and cheeses, trying to recreate that perfect bite I had experienced during the test. I also felt more confident recommending burgers to friends, knowing that my opinions weren't just shaped by billboards and Instagram photos, but by real, blind-tasted experiences. It was freeing in a way, like breaking out of the food matrix I hadn't realized I was stuck in. Some people might find the idea of eating blindfolded strange or unnecessary, but I'd recommend it to anyone who loves food. It's a unique way to reconnect with your senses, to truly taste without distraction. It challenges you to question your assumptions and appreciate the artistry behind even the simplest meals. Looking back, I realize how much we rely on brands and visuals to decide what we like. We are constantly bombarded by images telling us what's delicious, what's premium, what's worth it. But in the end, our tongues and noses tell the real story. This experiment wasn't just about burgers. It was a lesson in mindfulness, authenticity, and the joy of rediscovery. I can't say I'll never enjoy a burger for its beautiful presentation again. We eat with our eyes, and that's a fact. But now I know there's a different kind of beauty in savoring a burger purely for what it is, a combination of beef, cheese, bread, and a few extras coming together to create something comforting and deeply satisfying. When I think back to the blindfolded bites, I remember the surprise of unexpected flavors, the delight of a perfect cheese pull, and even the disappointment of a dry patty. Every moment was real, unfiltered, and honest. And in a world where so much of what we eat is carefully curated and staged for social media, that honesty felt refreshing. Would I do it again? Absolutely. Maybe next time with pizzas, or fries, or even milkshakes. The possibilities are endless, and the lessons just as delicious. After all, food is one of life's simplest joys, and rediscovering it blindfolded might be one of the most fun and eye-opening ways to appreciate it all over again.